guys, Orbus International has been, incepted since 2010 and has been into the training institute, or I would say training company, which has been growing exponentially into the cybersecurity and IDM domain. We have introduced our new portal as cybersectrainings.com, which is a new identity for an Orbus International. Orbus works with the mantra, which is very clear, that if we want every professional with the learn, grow, and succeed model.
Okay, so we can start now with the first session today, which is going to be more of a understanding of the SailPoint overall product architecture, also the installation bit. Okay, so as since you're already working in SailPoint right now, so you might already have bit of an idea about the SailPoint overall architecture, but it is good that I'll skim you through the overall architecture again.
Yeah, I think
So yeah, overall
regarding the
architecture.
architecture, it
Yeah.
is regarding the architecture, it is really important, and
Yeah.
I don't remember the architecture actually for IdentityIQ. Maybe I
Sorry,
was
you said you do
installing, yeah.
remember or you don't?
No, I don't
Okay.
remember.
All right. That's fine. So that's what I'll just
Yeah.
quickly skim you through, and then you can anyway stop me wherever you have some doubt or something. So obviously we'll just understand from SailPoint point of view, because SailPoint in the live environment could have pretty much complex architecture like the firewalls, the policies, etc., like Defender or something like that. There are lots of things that could happen in the live environment, ports and everything, port forwarding and everything. So those are infra-related things. So we'll just focus on SailPoint architecture, and then later on, like when you have to fit the SailPoint infrastructure into the live environment, that's the next step. So since SailPoint is a web-based tool, when I say web-based tools, that means or software, that means that you need a URL to access SailPoint UI and web pages. Yeah, and then definitely if there are URLs involved, that means you are sending a request to a system and you are receiving the response, as in like the web pages. Like if you hit the login screen, you send the login request, and then in the response you get success or failure. If it is success, you go to the next phase. So this is what the response is. So SailPoint is a similar tool. So keeping that in mind, we'll try to understand the architecture. How does it look? Okay, so there are a couple of designs or product architecture recommendations that SailPoint officially suggests that we should go ahead, and there are some no's to it, like that you should not go for that architecture. So when you set up overall architecture, like if you take a look at overall architecture, so it'll look something like this. Like you have UI servers, then you have a database, then you have the users, then request, response, load balancer, etc., etc. Yeah. So when I say app, we have UI server, we have DB server, we have the load balancing in place, then we have firewall, then user accessing it, request and response. So everything that you are seeing in this picture is a part of the overall SailPoint architecture. Now, how many UI server would be there? How many task server would be there? All of them will be pointing to the same database, and there would be a load balancer in place that will distribute the request accordingly. Then there'll be a firewall, and the user will request SailPoint using the firewall. This is a simple product architecture. Okay. Now, keeping the simple product architecture.
Can,
Yeah.
can I ask you? Can I
Yeah.
ask you regarding this architecture? Uh, uh, there is UI
Yeah.
servers and there is task servers. Can I know the difference between them? And other question
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
database server is everything going in the IQ. It will be go to that database server, right? So this is the main one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find everything in the database server, right?
Correct. So let me answer your
Okay.
first question then. So UI
Yeah.
server, UI servers, that means that there'll be a lots of users accessing SailPoint, right? So SailPoint provides a segregation between the servers, like UI servers and task servers. Since you know that there are many tasks run at the backend, like aggregation task, refresh task, etc., etc. Yeah. So if to distribute the loads properly, you can segregate the servers into two categories: UI server and task servers. UI servers will be used only for login and then taking some action so that the end user experience is not changed or affected. Now, imagine that your SailPoint will be running a lot of tasks, lot of refresh things, or lot of batch jobs at the background, right? If those batch jobs or tasks take a long time, a lot of time, resources, and spaces, then your end user, it could be a case that your end user would also start feeling the slowness, like in the system. So SailPoint provides a configuration through which you can segregate these two servers, like UI server and then task servers. That means if you say, for example, if you have four servers, two servers are UI servers, two servers are task servers. So all the batch jobs, all the jobs, and then batch requests and everything will be taken care by two servers, which is task servers. No matter what, even if these two servers are down due to some traffic or overload, the other UI servers won't be impacted. That means your end users will still be able to log in and then do their regular jobs. But task servers mainly take care of the major loads. Okay, does it make sense?
Okay. Yes, it's making
Okay. So
clear.
now I think your next question was why all these servers are connecting to the same DB server, correct?
Yes.
Was it your question? Okay. So it is because it is a single environment. Single environment as in like doesn't matter how many servers are there, like five servers, six servers, eight servers. So if these two servers are pointing to the different DBs, obviously we are breaking the information, right? Because you have a production environment and there will be a single source of information storage, which is in terms of storage, which is database, single database. So if this server is updating something, it'll update on the same database. If this is updating something, this will update in the same database, correct? Not like this is updated, this server is updating the different DB, this server is updating the different DB. That shouldn't happen, right? Because it's a single storage, it's a single environment,
Mm.
and single environment should have single storage. For example,
Okay. Even
if
when
this
it
server
is
is creating
big,
an identity,
organization.
yeah, still, even if it is big organization, it should be single DB only. Now, why I say that is because imagine like I'm naming these servers server 1, server 2, server 3, and server 4. Now, if server 3 is creating one identity in say database 2, this is database 1, and there is another database called database 2, right? Now, if server 3 is creating the identity in database 2, how this server or how this server which is connecting to database 1 will know that this identity is created here. So that is why there should be a single database storage per environment, so that you have a single centric place where all the information is stored, and then all the servers can verify that information or access that information. Yeah.
Great. Yes, it's clear.
Does it answer your question? Okay. So now this is this is what it happens in the live environment. Like this is obviously this is a much complicated when the firewalls are in place, ports are in place. It becomes pretty much complex in like compare it is compared to the basic. That'll be bit of a complicated environment. So between among these servers, like four or multiple servers, there could be one firewall. People won't directly access SailPoint. They will go to some firewall. Firewall would go to load balancer, and then based on like which server is free, UI server and like UI server 1 or 2, the load will be distributed accordingly. So there are different mechanism load balancer can actually works. Okay. Like say UI server 1 is busy, then the request will be forwarded to UI server 2. Or say if UI server 1 is down for some reason, all the load will be transferred to UI server 2 so that the end user experience is not affected. Okay.
Yeah, great, great.
Okay. So now since we know the now similarly there are many recommended architectures like in using the SAN, WAN, and then the dust recovery and everything. So you don't have to go to these documents like very much in detail as of now, because obviously like it is a beginning for you now. So go with the single architecture, keep that in mind that there'll be some UI servers, there will be some task servers, then there could be some firewall, then users, then the database server, etc. So that you know how where request comes and then where request goes. Okay. Any
Okay,
question?
great. No,
Okay.
it's clear.
So in
Thank
the
you.
live environment, like whenever you want to set up the architecture, you can always refer to this documentation, and then you can decide like which recommended architecture suits your organization. Okay, there are many actually. DMZ, Cloud Gateway, etc. Okay. So anyways, not to get into details much because this will cause confusion at at the earlier stage. So we can probably start with this architecture. Like obviously we won't have firewall and then load balancer in place. So that's a part of the live environment. But the overall component wise, this should be okay. Like we need servers. Like if now based on this information, just assume or visualize what you need to install SailPoint in your local infrastructure, like or in your local machine. So obviously you'll need server, you need one database server, yeah, and you need one application
Okay,
server. Sorry, operating system. Okay.
okay,
Now,
okay.
for
And task
instance,
server, can it be UI server and task server in the same one?
sorry, there was some disturbance. Say that again. Can there be UI server in?
Yeah, and task server for, so we can have only one server. So database server and UI and task server in one server, or it can't be.
Correct. So in your local sandbox, like the one that you will be installing, you will have one server that will be treated as UI as well as task server, and then you will have one database server, only one server,
Okay,
since it is in your local machine. Okay. But in your live environment, you could have
okay,
multiple servers, and then you can segregate them like which server is UI server, which server is a task server. You can decide.
mm,
Okay.
okay, okay, great.
Now, next, visualization of the installation preview. Like now, as any software that you want to install, no matter what, be it Facebook, YouTube, be it Twitter, whatever, Instagram, or SailPoint, every software has bare minimum requirement. Yeah, that you might have heard like there are different softwares or applications that do not work in the previous versions of operating system. Yeah. So similarly, and there are some prerequisites also. So SailPoint also has couple of prerequisites. SailPoint also has couple of requirements or prerequisites that definitely you need to have before you install SailPoint. Okay. Now what are those? Before I name them, for an instance, if you want to install Facebook or Twitter, you need to have you need to have your phone or laptop. Then you should have some operating system on which you can install it. Correct? So similarly, SailPoint also needs couple of components to be installed. Hmm? Now, what are those components? So there is a guide called installation guide that gives you overall information about how SailPoint actually, what are the different things that SailPoint needs. Apologies, not this one. Just a second. I'll just reshare my screen. Just a second. There you go. All right. Hi, Faisal. Sorry, I just realized that you joined. Can you see my screen now?
Hi, how are you?
Not too bad. Thank you. Can you see my screen now?
I think it is same screen before. It's not loaded any new one. It's like hold.
Oh, sorry. It is. Is it not sharing? Are you able to see now?
Mhm. It's the same hold. Faisal, can you see any other? Maybe my screen's hold.
No, it's same.
I'm sharing the PDF.
No, we are still
No.
in the setting up an identity, like the from community SailPoint. Oh, browser.
All right. Don't know if there's some problem with the teams or something.
Maybe you can go out and rejoin again.
Still not able to see?
Yeah, same. Wait.
Okay, 1 second. I'll rejoin maybe. Just a second.
Hi, Mr. Shaka.
Hello.
Hi. We
Can you
can.
see?
Yes, we can see right now. Yes, we can see.
I know what you're seeing right now. PDF.
Yes, it's PDF.
All right. Now this is our installation guide. So when you actually get the SailPoint package that you want to install, along with the package, you will also get all these documents which I'm showing you. Okay. Now coming back to the installation, I'll first make you visualize how the installation is going to look like. Okay. I'm not going to show you any diagram or something which may confuse you, but rather I would very pretty much simplify the architecture in your mind so that you can visualize anytime, anywhere. Okay. Now to install SailPoint, since we know that SailPoint is a web-based software or tool or application, that means you need to access, you have to, you should access SailPoint through some URLs to access their web pages, SailPoint's web pages, right? And then when you're putting the URL is nothing but sending the request to some end system, correct? Like if I give some local host 8080/identityIQ, that means this is what? This is the URL is nothing but an address where I want to go, correct? So this
Yes.
request is taken by a server. Okay, like Facebook also has one server, Instagram also has server, then Twitter also has some server. So they have their own server. You go to their server and send a request like www.facebook.com, and then that request is reached to that server. If your request is valid, then the end system will send you the response back to your screen. For an instance, the login screen. Like if you type www.facebook.com, that's a request. That request goes to Facebook application server, and then it will redirect. If this application server is up, it'll show you the login screen. In the login screen, you provide your user ID and then the password. So when you enter the user ID and password and you hit login, that login is submitting the request, the login request. That request again goes back to the actual Facebook application server. If your user ID and password is valid, it returns a response that this is a valid user. Let the user be in, get in. Then you see the different Facebook or Instagram screens. So similarly, how does this happen? So all this process, like where you are submitting, where you are sending the request, someone or some system is returning you the response. So it happens through a component. That component is called the server. The server is something that takes the request and returns the response. Okay. Now for SailPoint also, it is the same thing, that you are typing, you're giving a URL that's something like https xyz.sailpoint.com or whatever, and then /IdentityIQ. So this is what are you are sending a login request, and then you are receiving the response in return. So definitely, if SailPoint works in the same fashion, then you will need server. Okay, now this server is what? Application server. Make sense? Which can take the request and then return the response. Second thing, database. Because SailPoint is a tool that stores the user information, the identity information. Like what is your first name, last name, who, what identity, how many identities, applications, their entitlements, their user requests, and everything. Everything is stored in the DB. Correct. So SailPoint definitely need one database server. Yeah. Now, any software that you install, any software. So you need an operating system to install it, right? Now, operating system like Windows, Unix, Linux, WebSphere. So these are what? Operating system. Like even for this for the software like Notepad++, Microsoft PowerPoint, all these lightweighted softwares also need an operating system to run, right? So similarly, all the server, all the application I named, or all the softwares and components I named, be it server, be it SailPoint, be it database server, everything needs an operating system on which you can on which you can install it. Any confusion?
No, it's clear.
Okay. Now, if I make you visualize the overall architecture, so just visualize this. Okay, as I say,